a 2018 drama thriller film enacting a student who has a crush on his new English teacher, and she ruins everyone's lives to make up to him. So, welcome back to another movie explanation by Recap Studio. Before pursuing our plot, I'll suggest restraining your lungs full of air because this video contains major spoilers. At the start of this film, we see Chris, the new English teacher, and his daughter Riley. They have moved here for a fresh start as Chris's ex-wife had philandered him. Later, we're introduced to Kyla, the yearbook photographer. While she's snapping Chris, Trisha intervenes and asks her to take their pictures for the upcoming yearbook. Chris has got a pretty good start, and as his first class is going, he is enlightening everyone with the knowledge and fun. But Trisha and Kyla are secretly admiring him. On the other hand, Riley is bored because she has no friends in this new school. After class, Kyla finds Riley on her work spot, and during their talk, Kyla finds out that she is Chris's daughter, so they become friends. At first, the scene is depicted as Kyla is doing this for some grades, but trust me, there's much more to the story. Back home, we see Kyla's mother, Jess, working out for her upcoming date. Conversely, Kyla is tempting herself, imagining a thing with Chris. The next day, Trisha approaches Riley after class, and as she had also dug out Riley's secret, she advises Riley to be her friend, or what she can assume is her second fiddle. Kyla was stalking them, and after Trisha left, she burst out on Riley, saying that Trisha is not suitable for her because she's got a taste for going after professors, as she also tried to flatter her history teacher once. After a pretty good argument, they begin to converse on a phone call. But guess what? Someone rang the doorbell, and it turns out that Chris is dating Jess. What a coincidence. At first, Kyla says she'll have no problem with their relationship, but I bet she does. She poured a vase's water on Chris, and thus Chris and Jess had to date at her home. At night, they both are having fun. Kyla screams, intervening in their moment, saying that someone is stalking her through her window. She is definitely lying. Being worried about Kyla, Chris stays for a night, and while talking with her, he discloses that Riley is out with Trisha shopping. The very next morning, Chris acts fatherly in front of Jess and brings Kyla to school in his car. In school, Kyla and Riley get into a fight over Riley being a friend with Trisha. Riley also accuses her after knowing that Kyla was the one ruining the history teacher's life. At home, Kyla thinks of a plan to clear herself in front of Riley. She snaps her own nudes and hides in her locker, only to open it in front of Riley. Her smartness gets her out of Riley's suspicion enough that Riley apologizes to her. Kyla confesses those pictures were for the history teacher, and maybe Trisha has done all this, and thus poor Trisha gets involved in what she hasn't done. At night, while Jess and Chris are going to have their second date, Kyla suggests her mother see Chris's phone. And it turns out that Trisha is texting her, and the scene depicts Chris and Trisha are having an affair. Jess, being enraged, ousts him. Kyla approaches Chris as he is still waiting for Jess to justify his innocence. She seduces him, saying that this is his thesis proposal. The scene depicts that she has something to do with Jess and Chris's breakup, and I bet she does. Upon returning to the room, she breaks the phone through which she was texting him, disguising as Trisha. The next day during class, Trisha approaches Chris and tries to flirt, but Kyla intervenes, giving back Chris's jacket, saying he forgot this last night. And Riley was like, "What's going on?" The next moment, the police arrive in class demanding to see Trisha. Back home, Jess pleads that she has registered a complaint against Trisha after her actions. Oh, by the way, did I tell you before that Trisha's life will get ruined by Kyla as collateral damage? Just stick with the end to watch how she destroys everything. The main plot of the movie starts with Riley's 18th birthday. Kyla gifted Riley a wine case and heads to Chris, seducing him enough to get laid. At first, Chris refuses to be with her, but come on, how much can he restrain himself? While they were having a moment, Riley stepped in, getting shocked and abusing Chris in front of everyone shortly after leaving. In the next class, everything is strange, and only Chris and Kyla are conversing. Chris sarcastically hones Kyla for her lousy research on the subject task. As they were discussing, Riley leaves. She brings Jess, who slaps him again and again after the class. I guess Riley had informed Jess about the matter. Jess scolds Kyla for what she has done with Chris. She also suspects her of entrapping Trisha for her benefit. Conversely, Riley approaches Chris and asks why he did all this, upon which he confesses he couldn't resist. He also added that he needs someone to talk to since his wife had left him. This scene depicts that everything will get smooth, but wait, there's still more to this plot. Kyla heads to Trisha before school, and after arguing, she starts beating herself to accuse Trisha of an assault. While she's punching herself, Chris and Riley arrive at school, and seeing them, Kyla breaks her fingers, and thus she gets herself clean in her Jess's eyes. In the hospital, Riley scolds him and takes Chris's side. But before she leaves, Kyla asks a favor to capture a football game's pictures in her camera. Chris also tells her that he is moving out of the city because of her toxic and spoiled nature. The scene changes to Riley in her school. While preparing herself to capture the event's photographs, Kyla approaches from the dark and stabs her. Then she heads to Chris packing his stuff in the classroom. She points a knife on his neck and tries to seduce him, saying that they will start a new family and she will give him a new Riley. After hearing this, he gets angry and pushes her to the floor. But before doing anything else, Kyla hits his foot, and he gets unconscious after banging his head on the table. A janitor hears some noises and arrives there only to find Kyla acting like a frightened kid. He goes to get help, but she kills him. After that, she gets into a fight with Riley, and at last, Riley manages to strike her with her own camera. The scene changes to Riley being taken by the ambulance, and while she's conversing with Chris, she sees Kyla and abuses him. The film is concluded with the father-daughter moving out to somewhere else. After Riley goes to her new school while Chris is still at his house, we see someone disguised watching them. Do you think that disguised person is Kyla? Share your thoughts down in the comment section below. And if that person is Kyla, then we're indeed getting a sequel of My Teacher, My Obsession. And that was all from the video. I hope you liked it. Subscribe for more content like this and hit the like button to help us out. Also leave a comment if you want us to recap your favorite movie. Until next time, take care.